Delmarva Today with Don Rush.
Salisbury City leaders and the community weigh in on the decision by the mayor not to fly the pride flag in front of the government building. A large crowd showed up over a plan to eliminate the Wicomico County executive position, and we'll take a look at the implications of the guilty verdict handed down against former President Donald Trump. Welcome to the program. This is Don Rush. In our studio this afternoon is Susan Canfor. She's a reporter for Coastal Point. Welcome to the program.
Thank you, Don.
So, first of all, let's turn to the fact that the decision was made by the mayor of Salisbury not to allow the pride flag to be flown in front of the government building. Instead, the flag was obviously raised at a different location on West Carroll Street. You were there. What do we know?
Yes, I was there in Salisbury last Saturday when a good-sized crowd gathered on Carroll Street. They were in front of the county health department building to raise the pride flag. And, of course, June is Pride Month. Mark Delancey was there. He's the executive director of the local P-Flag chapter, and several town council members were there. And also among them was the former acting mayor, Julia Glanz. And they all spoke with the council members saying, even though the mayor, Randy Taylor, didn't allow the pride flag to fly over the town building, that isn't the consensus of the council, and they accept everyone. Then 2 days later, on Monday night, there was a Salisbury City Council meeting, and a pretty large crowd showed up. Members of the LGBTQ plus community and supporters were there. Many of them were not happy about what happened. They were there, gathered in the council chamber, standing room only. And, of course, they opposed what the mayor said, his decision to not put the flag over the city building, and they didn't hold back when they objected. When reporters asked them how they felt, they said they were very unhappy. They said Mayor Taylor is saying they're not welcome or he's not concerned about them. But Mayor Taylor is saying, no, that's not the case. Don't misunderstand. I have nothing against the LGBT community. It's just that it doesn't seem right to use city assets to promote one group and say no to other groups. But members of the LGBT community weren't so quick to say, well, okay, Mr. Mayor, that makes sense. Not at all. And in fact, many of them had some strong words for him, like he made them feel as though he doesn't care about them. But the mayor said that isn't the case at all.
At no point did I ever put any kind of negative spin on the event or any kind of curtail it in any way, shape, or form. That's not true. It absolutely isn't true. There's absolutely no evidence of that. People's sexuality is irrelevant to me. I mean, truly. My point is, I had to make a decision. The mayor of the town, and so that somehow got construed as being negative towards the event, and that's not at all my intention.
Mark Delancey, as we said, he's the executive director of P-Flag. He just wasn't buying it.
Mayor, when we had our conversation for 5 minutes, I appreciated it very much. Thank you. I look forward to more conversations. And when I say I understand your decision, please don't take my understanding for approval.
On June 29th, on Saturday, June 29th, the city's Arts, Business, and Culture Department will be working with P-Flag, and they're going to have a pride, parade, and festival in Salisbury. So it looks like there are plans to start mending fences, Don.
And we caught up with Mark Delancey, the executive director of P-Flag, after the session to get a sense about what he thought about the session.
What did you think of the meeting and the discussion that took place? Obviously, you had people from the community. You also had people on the council. Where do you think we are as a community right now?
I feel it's kind of a toss-up. I feel the community is definitely united and together with the aspect of being one community with diversity and inclusion. The council's on board with that. It's the administration that we're currently dealing with that has a little bit of a pushback.
The mayor said essentially that he looked at it and he didn't have a choice. He consulted with the county. You had a conversation with him. What was that conversation like, and what did you come away with?
The conversation actually was very brief. It was a 5-minute conversation because I was due to another meeting, but he primarily asked me if I understood why he made his decision, and I personally felt like that was just another placation of the situation, making sure that I felt comfortable with his decision instead of doing the right decision or actually exploring what the possibilities of a good decision would look like.
So he seems to be blaming in part on the county itself.
Correct, and that's always been my past experiences as well. Every time I've tried to get something up on the flagpoles, there was always an issue of who owns what flagpole, how much is owned by what, and who owns exactly where. But it always usually worked itself out by the beginning of June by the time we were able to raise the flag. So I feel like that's an old excuse that doesn't hold a lot of water.
This flag has been flown before with the county council and the county executive, and yet this time around there was this change that took place.
Right. So where's the bottom line for that? Where's the commonality for that? And my answer would be that that's coming from this current mayor's decision to say no.
So what do you think this controversy then means for the community? I mean, we saw certainly a lot of people come out on Saturday. We saw a lot of people come out today. Where are we here with it?
I feel like that's the important part. If we're going to walk away with something, it's the fact that the community needs to step forward. The community, the LGBTQ, the allies, everyone needs to step forward and make their voices known that this is a city of inclusion. Whether it's administration feels that it isn't or feels they need to make their own decisions in unique ways, that's fine. However, the community is the one that needs to take the driving factor of all decisions that are being made here. So we need to show up at city council meetings. We need to make sure that our voices are heard.
Do you believe the mayor when he says, hey, look, I don't have anything against people who are LGBTQ?
Sure, I absolutely do. I absolutely believe that he has no discrimination in his heart when it comes to that. I really feel like it's coming from a position of lack, a position of fear, and a position of not understanding the rest of his constituents.
Do you expect him to be supportive, or has he indicated he was going to be supportive of the Gay Pride Festival?
He has said he's going to go ahead and move forward with the Gay Pride. He has had several meetings with several other city members concerning the banners, so those got approved. But my question is this: why does that need to be investigated, questioned, and interrogated to make yet another decision for us to be who we are?
Do you expect him to show up
at the Pride? I'm going to invite him to do a speech, so we'll see.
That's Mark Delancey. He is, again, Executive Director of PFLAG, and we caught up with him after the session. And of course, since this is Pride Month, Pastor Colby Martin is coming to the Eastern Shore. He has written a new book that rejects the traditional biblical teachings against the LGBTQ community, and we caught up with him earlier this week.
It's my conviction that when you put all of these verses in their proper context, and when you really understand the heart of what is going on, the church has gotten it wrong. The church has been wrong with its traditional stance that the Bible is against those who are gay or lesbian.
So, Susan, he's going to be appearing at a local church.
Yes, he's an interesting guy, very thoughtful young man. He wrote a book called Unclobber, Rethinking Our Misuse of the Bible on Homosexuality. And this coming Sunday morning, he will be speaking at Community Lutheran Church in Frankfort, Delaware, at 8:45 and 10 a.m. And then there's going to be a live stream discussion at 1 p.m. Unclobber is about Martin's belief that God is not opposed to those who are attracted to the same sex, or that God withholds divine blessing from those in same-sex relationships. The pastor of Community Lutheran, the Reverend Karis Graham, said Mr. Martin is the real deal, as she put it. She said the misunderstandings about LGBT people and his book are now required reading at one seminary and by other congregations throughout the country. Her church members wanted him to come and speak there, she said, because her church is an inclusive church, and the belief there is that everyone is created in God's image and everyone is accepted. His book is going to be for sale there, and he'll be there as well to talk to, and I'll be there covering the event and meeting him and interviewing him on Sunday morning, Dawn.
So it turned to the other big story here on the Eastern Shore, at least in Wicomico County, and that is the battle over whether to eliminate the position of the Wicomico County Executive. Now, there was a large crowd that showed up at a public meeting earlier this week. What did we hear?
The ongoing battle. We have this kind of battle, as our listeners know, between some members of the Wicomico County Council and County Executive Julie Giordano. Their disagreements have been in the public eye, with one recently concerning collective bargaining for the sheriff's office and whether or not she gave them pertinent information on time. She has said one idea about the executive branch and they have another idea. So recently, the council started talking about completely eliminating the position of county executive. If they do, that doesn't mean she'd be gone immediately, but when her term is up, that would be the end of the position completely. Tuesday this week, the council hosted a public hearing to see what county residents think about doing away with that branch, and It was about evenly divided. The comments were about evenly divided between those who said, no, we need a county executive, and those who say, well, maybe it's not such a bad idea to do away with it. The county has a proposed charter amendment, and they plan to put that on the ballot so voters can decide if they want to move away from the county executive system of government. Some of the people who spoke at the special session this week said having a county executive has really improved matters in Wicomico and proven that strong administrative officials can do good things. But others said no, the costs are always going up, like increases in salaries, and the relationship between the council and Giordano is just a mess.
And here's some of what they said.
Going to a council form of government just breeds more corruption than what there already is with council. People that have their own personal agendas, and you're going to appoint an administrator who works for the council for what they do. This is nothing more than a power grab.
Not only did the executive council position not result in positive change, the leadership has resulted in threatened lawsuits, negative press for the county, wasted financial resources, time, effort, and community goodwill. The requested budget includes over $400,000 for salaries. You count in your benefits, and one estimate is over $800,000. I don't see the upsides of continuing this.
Giordano, unsurprisingly, has taken a firm stand and said the executive position is worth fighting for whether I'm the county executive or not. The two branches of government create a balance of power and a check and balance system. The county council has created a whirlwind of uncertainty that has affected our employees and morale of this county. You have created instability in our government, she said.
Well, I'm here to say tonight, if you think that I worked hard to be elected in this position, I'll work twice as hard to keep it. And I'm pretty sure I have some influential people backing me. But if for some reason this passes in November, I'll go back to teaching in 26, but I will run for county council along with a slate, and I will win because no one works harder than I do.
Some residents at the special meeting asked the council to have a referendum vote and let the voters decide. So what happens now? Well, look for more debate among county council members about what to do with this executive position and quite possibly a vote on this matter in coming months.
And later in the show, we will talk with Mike Dunn. He's president of the Greater Salisbury Committee, a longtime observer of local politics, about what's going on with this county executive, because he was here when it was first created. Want to now turn to other issues, including hurricane season. Apparently, it could be even worse than usual.
Yeah, hurricane season started June 1st, and if you've lived here for any amount of time, you know how devastating they can be. I was here back in 1985 when Hurricane Gloria tore a large chunk of the boardwalk in Ocean City off the southern end of the boardwalk and caused a lot of other damage. We've been fortunate not to have any major hurricanes lately, but the Delaware Emergency Management Agency, that's DEMA, is warning residents that this year, June through November 30th, looks like a very active hurricane season. So DEMA has an awareness campaign, and they're telling residents that they should be very careful because there's an ocean heat wave and La Nina climate pattern. Meanwhile, NOAA, that's N-O-A-A, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Association, is predicting an 85% chance of an above-normal hurricane season with 17 to 25 storms already named and 4 to 7 major hurricanes with winds above 111 miles per hour predicted. It's important to know when to evacuate and to make arrangements for yourselves and for pets. Make an emergency kit with canned food and bottled water, all your medications, and don't forget the pets' leashes and their food and their water bowls. And you can find more information on the DEMA website, and that is at www.dema.delaware.gov.
And finally, Susan, a deputy who died in the line of duty, Glenn Hilliard, will be remembered. Tell me a little bit about that event and what his life was like.
2 years later, yes, Wicomico County Sheriff's Office and the family of the slain Worcester County deputy Glenn Hilliard are going to have an event open to the public on June 12th from 4 to 6 p.m. at the Fraternal Order of Police Lodge 111 on Elbert Street in Salisbury. And this is going to be to honor Glenn Hilliard, who died on June 12, 2022, 2 years ago. His family wants to thank the first responders, law enforcement, emergency medical services, fire service, the state's attorney's office, everyone who's been involved and everyone who helped The event is open to the community. There's going to be a brief ceremony and refreshments afterward. The 22-year-old man who was found guilty of murdering Deputy Hilliard, Austin Jacob Allen Davidson, was found guilty by a jury, and that jury found him guilty of first-degree murder, second-degree murder, first-degree assault, second-degree assault, reckless endangerment, and firearm use in a violent crime. He was sentenced to life in prison plus 66 years. And we remember the heartbreaking words of Deputy Hilliard's wife, who was in the courthouse, Tashika Hilliard, who told Davidson, "When you killed my husband, you killed a part of me because he was my other half." The couple has 3 children, and I interviewed the family very shortly after he was killed. Just a lovely family, very gracious and open, and the children just adored their father. So it was a very sad story.
Well, we've been speaking with Susan Canfor. She's a reporter at Coastal Point. Appreciate you stopping by and chatting with us and covering the beat.
My pleasure, as always.
You're listening to Delmarva Today. This is Don Rush.
Delmarva Today with Don Rush.